Good evening and welcome. I'm going to give everyone just a few minutes to get logged in and settled before we get started. Again, we're going to give everyone just a few minutes to get settled before we do get started. Good evening. We're going to give it just a few minutes for everyone to get in and get settled before we get started this evening. Good evening to those just joining. We're going to give it about another minute or so before we get started. Want to make sure we give everyone ample time to get logged in since we know technology can be finicky sometimes. All right, well, welcome again. We're going to go ahead and get started since we are just a few minutes after 6:30. So do want to make sure that we're honoring your time and keeping this as reasonable of a commitment for you as possible. So we will go ahead and get started now. Thank you again for joining us. If you're joining us after the fact, if you are maybe watching the recording, welcome. We're glad you're here too. Feel free to listen in on our conversation that we're currently having live. All right, so to get us started, again, I want to welcome you to our session on how to support your new Eagle in their next steps. So we're really excited for this time. It's a really exciting time for your student and yourself, hopefully, as well. But we're always really excited to be welcoming all of our new students into Eagle Nation. To get us started, we are going to do just a quick poll. You should see a pop-up on your screen here in just a second. It's going to ask 3 quick questions just to help us get to know you a little bit. So we're trying to get a sense of, is your student going to be a freshman? Are they going to be a freshman that's bringing in maybe some dual enrollment credit? Or are they a transfer student? Is your student currently accepted? Are they still deciding? Are they maybe waiting for their decision? Have they maybe not even applied yet? Where are they at in our admissions process? And then we're also curious if your student has been accepted, if they've registered for Soar. You might be wondering what the heck is Soar. We will get into that here throughout the course of this short presentation. Just want to get a sense of where everyone is at as we enter into this time together. So I'll give everyone just a few more seconds to submit their responses. Looks like y'all are pretty quick with it tonight. So we'll give everyone just a few more seconds to make sure we're not leaving anyone out before we do hop in with the content for our evening. One thing that I do want to note is that our chat has been disabled for tonight. There are a lot of you and not a lot of us moderating this session. So just know that if you do have any questions, you can submit them through the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Just click on that Q&A button and you can submit questions. Please know that these are publicly submitted. So every single question that's submitted will be public for all other participants to see. And as such, we ask that you do not include any specific information for you or your students. So please don't include any names, any Eagle ID numbers, any other personal identifiers. Please keep questions general enough that we can discuss in this group setting. If you have a more nuanced question, we can definitely let you know how to reach out to us for a more individualized conversation with any questions that you may have that might not be appropriate for this space with, another 100 or so of your closest friends. All right, so looking at the responses for this quick poll, looks like we have a lot of supporters of our incoming freshman students. Looks like pretty heavy freshman students who are truly traditional in the sense of not coming in with much, if any, dual enrollment experience. But we definitely have a healthy showing of those with students who do have a bit of dual enrollment credit under their belt. It looks like students are generally admitted for the most part, which is exciting. We will have just a very quick slide on kind of those first steps of making sure everything's submitted and leading up to receiving that decision. It sounds like that might be more helpful for those who are reviewing this video after the fact and watching that recording, but we will briefly address that. So for those who are currently here live, feel free to tune me out for just a few seconds when we get to that slide in just a moment. And it looks like for those of you who have accepted students, whether they be still deciding or ready to commit, looks like we're pretty well split between whether they're registered for Soar, they're still not registered quite yet, or you're not even sure what Soar is. So hopefully by the end of this session, you will have a more confident answer to knowing what Soar is, and you'll be able to help your student in getting registered if that's the next step for them. So again, as I mentioned, the first slide here is just on the first steps. So your student getting admitted. So your student, of course, would need to visit our georgiasouthern.edu/admissions page for all of our admissions requirements. So if you're viewing this recording, you can definitely pause here and check that out. If your student still needed to apply for some reason, they haven't submitted that app yet, or if they're waiting for a decision, those phases can generally take between 2 to 3 weeks. So once we receive new documents, there is a bit of a processing window for those to be added to your student's account. And then once everything has been submitted, then there's about a 2 to 3 week processing window for a student to receive a decision once they are complete and ready for review. Students, of course, this is also really relevant for those who have an accepted student, are definitely encouraged to log into their admission status check page for up-to-date information on the status of their application. This is going to be really handy as well for registering for Soar if your student hasn't done that yet. This is kind of the central hub of all of those admissions-related pieces to help your student as they work towards enrolling here at the university. And of course, if you haven't already done so, celebrate with your student once they are admitted. Again, recognizing that this is a very big accomplishment for them, and I'm sure that you as a supporter are also proud of them in this accomplishment. So now that your student's been admitted, what's next? It sounds like some of you might be at this point. So there are definitely some things that we need to talk through. Your student first is going to need to register for a Soar orientation session through their admission status check page. It takes about 24 hours after they receive that admissions decision before that page populates for them and allows them to actually go in and register themselves. If they try to go in before that 24-hour mark, they're going to receive an unmatched imported student record error. So if they see that, no worries. just encourage them to go back, give it a few more hours, make sure they're at that 24-hour mark from when they were admitted, and they should be able to log in successfully. So SOAR, as the name implies, with SOAR orientation session, that is our orientation for all of our new students, and we will chat generally through that. So SOAR, it is going to be your new students orientation experience that is also going to be great for you as the supporter. So for our incoming freshman students, it's a full day experience. And for our incoming transfer and adult learner students, it's going to be a half day experience for them. So if you are a supporter of a traditional freshman student, then you are going to either support them in attending a virtual session or an in-person on-campus session. So all of our students do receive that option, that choice between, unless they're joining us starting summer 2022. So not sure if anyone has a student who's in that situation, but if your student's joining us in the summer, they'll actually attend a virtual session. That's our default for our summer sessions. Looking at some opportunities to still engage them if they would like to visit campus around that time of the semester starting, especially if they're maybe not living on campus quite yet at that time. But for all of our students who are starting fall 2022, they do have that option between our modalities. So when your student is going in to register for SOAR, it'll be important for them to have an idea of which modality they're hoping to attend. So whether it is that virtual session or that in-person session, because they do have to make that selection in order to see the specific dates that relate to whichever modality they're choosing to join us through. Again, it's going to be the complete same program. It's just a matter of if they would like to do so from the comfort of their own home, or if they would like to do so with us here on campus. And as you can see at the bottom, we encourage you as your student supporter to attend SOAR with them. If possible, of course, we recognize that and not every circumstance is going to allow you to join with your student. But if you're able to, we definitely encourage you to attend with them, as we do have a guest track that's going to be catered to you and your needs. So that's true of both our virtual and on-campus options. So we do have that option for you to attend with a separate link on a separate device if you would like to join virtually. Definitely still, of course, if you attend in person, welcome to attend that as well. We do not require supporters to attend with their students, so your student can attend by themselves if that works best for you and your family, but definitely feel free to attend with them. Probably a mix of sessions that are just for them, sessions that are just for you, and some sessions that are combined. So you will break off from your student at points throughout the day, whether virtually or in person. So really important to consider that if that's something that is feasible for you within your schedule. We'll give a lot of great information, a lot of opportunities to connect with other supporters, to connect with resources on campus, and to try and get as many questions as possible answered for you, while we're working to make sure that your student feels as comfortable as possible to start in their respective entry term. So SOAR is just an experience. As mentioned, it's a one-day experience for our incoming freshman students. It is a half-day experience for our incoming transfer and adult learner students. So we recognize that the transition experience is going to be so much more than just that one day or half day even experience through SOAR. So we have what we call the Eagle experience here at Georgia Southern, and it is our overarching orientation and transition experience. From the moment your student decides they're going to join us here in Eagle Nation, they're going to become a Georgia Southern Eagle, all the way through their first year with us. So that whole overarching experience, again, is called the Eagle experience. You'll hear us using that language in some of our promotional materials. You'll see it in some of the emails you'll start getting leading up to and then leading through the summer. And then your student and you, if you're able to attend with them, will definitely be hearing more about the Eagle experience at their SOAR orientation session. We encourage you to have your student, or maybe even go through this with your student, to review the Eagle Experience website in order to learn more about what's happening over the summer, as well as during the semester. So we'll be doing some things over the summer. It really picks up around move-in and those first few weeks on campus. There'll, of course, continue to be a lot of great activities and events happening throughout the full semester, and then we'll do the same thing in the spring We'll have a lot of events at the beginning of the semester to welcome them back to campus, and then we will pick things back up throughout the rest of the semester as well, after that initial programming at the very beginning of the semester. We also encourage students to review the enrollment checklist relevant to them on our Eagle Experience website. So one thing that I do want to note before I click the link and we quickly review the website is that the pre-advisement course is one of their first steps towards getting a course schedule for their respective entry term. So we really encourage students to complete that pre-advisement course as soon as possible. The one caveat is that it's not open quite yet. So we're anticipating it opening in the next week to 2 weeks. The goal is to have it open by the end of the month. You'll receive some communications as soon as that is live, or rather your student will receive some communications. So encourage them to keep an eye out on their email address, both the email that they use on their application, as well as their new Georgia Southern email. They can go ahead and start utilizing that. They might start getting some communications to that, but definitely checking the email that we have on record from their application. Again, that will open up by the end of the month, and that is the student's first step in receiving a course schedule by the end of their Soar session. So your student will be able to complete that, give some information to their academic advisor, and then leading up to the session, your student's academic advisor will work through their specific course schedule and have that ready for them by the end of their Soar date, as long as they complete it in a timely manner. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up our Eagle Experience page on our website. And going to make for sure, yep, it looks like that is still sharing correctly. So this is our Eagle Experience website. So if you go to visit us there, this is what you're going to see. Just a brief introduction at the top. You can see that it's still got some spring information on there. So we haven't updated it quite yet for our summer and fall entry students. We'll be doing that in the next few months. So stay tuned to this website for more information there about the specific events we have planned. If you scroll just a little bit further down, we've got some resources on academic success and inclusive excellence. One of the things that, again, we do really encourage you to review with your student is the enrollment checklist. So looking at that quickly, the enrollment checklist, we'll stay on the freshman tab for now, is going to be a really great guide for your student to make sure that they are prepared to start their journey here at Georgia Southern by the first day of classes. So as long as they're a freshman, they'll stay on this tab that automatically populates for them. For any of our transfer or non-traditional or adult learners, you'll click on this transfer tab for more tailored information for you. But on this freshman tab, you'll see a block at the top, which is things that your student needs to complete prior to attending their Soar session. You'll see this break where it says just attend Soar. Pretty self-explanatory there. And then at the bottom, there is a secondary block of some tasks that your student needs to complete after attending their Soar session. So for example, this commit to Georgia Southern, once you click on that, you see some additional information. So registering for Soar, that'll take you to our Soar website. It'll give you some of that information that you need about our program, and then it'll guide you through how you can actually go about registering. Activating the My Georgia Southern portal, it's got a link to that to go ahead and complete that step. Indicating your intention to live on campus by submitting your housing application. So it guides you through all of those really important steps that we don't want you to miss, or rather your student to miss as we transition them to Georgia Southern. So we hope that you as a supporter will partner with us in making sure that your student is checking this out, they're completing the different tasks within it in order to help set them up for success with the fall semester or summer semester if they're starting a little bit earlier. So with that, we'll go back to the main Eagle Experience page. So again, enrollment checklist is going to be really important. We also do have information on Soar. We have information on Eagle Engage, which is our involvement platform, so students can start seeing what organizations we have on campus that they might want to get involved in once they do start here in the fall. So definitely encourage them to start exploring that a bit. We'll have information about Operation Move-In. That'll be updated, of course, closer to the beginning of the fall semester. They normally do a soft edit for the summer entry term students who will be living on campus with us. but it'll be completely revised and updated for our fall entry students, since move-in is a pretty large event to start off the fall semester. Our Parents and Supporters button will provide more information related to different things we offer for our supporters. Campus maps, of course, pretty self-explanatory. New graduate students, that doesn't seem to apply to anyone in this group, and it most likely doesn't for the recording either. And then Build a Guest. That's just a fun little printout that you can do. You can fold it together, kind of origami style, in order to help build kind of a blocky version of our mascot, Gus. So that's a fun little craft that you can choose to do. It's just printing it out onto a page, and we have a walkthrough video there as well. That's a small little half-body sample of what it'll look like. So we do have that kind of walkthrough video there as well. So back to the slides. Gonna look a little funky at the top, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing for just a second in order to reshare that and make it look just a little bit better on your screen. So give me 1 second to start sharing that again. Awesome. So back to the Eagle Experience page. We already covered all this information, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our next slide, which is family programs. That's how we support you as a supporter. So here in New Student Family Programs, we are the office that supports you as a family member or a supporter of a current student throughout their time here at the university. And we do that in a variety of ways. So we have some ongoing family communications and support. We've been doing monthly family newsletters, and we're hopefully exploring a new platform soon that we'll move into that might provide slightly more frequent communications if you would like to opt into those. You can kind of tailor some of the communications to your preferences. We have monthly events with campus partners. So in addition to me doing this one for those who are just getting started, we do some for supporters kind of throughout the course of their student's career here at the university. So we do them with career and professional development on internship and job searches. We do them with our people on campus who are facilitating our commencement ceremonies. So we'll actually be doing one here in less than a month or so with one of our folks who oversees commencement for our spring commencement ceremonies. So starting you out right now, and then we'll continue to do these events for you all the way through until your student successfully graduates from the university. So a lot of different events happening kind of throughout the year. I mean, we try to tailor them based on things that are maybe going on in your student's life based on the specific time of the semester or the academic year. We also have social media. I'll mention how to access our family programs, social media, specifically our Facebook. I have the name of that linked on our Contact Us slide that you'll see here shortly. We have some family weekend events. So we do a fall and spring family weekend, which we're always excited for. Our fall event is in Statesboro. It coincides with one of our home football games. So we do a lot of great events there. We have a silent auction. We have a tailgate. A lot of fun things going on, and a great time to come to campus and interact with your student. Or if your student's maybe a Statesboro or an Armstrong campus or a Liberty campus student rather, it's a great opportunity to reconnect with them and then bring them to the Statesboro campus for a fun weekend. In the spring, that's when we go down to the Armstrong campus in Savannah. And that one is really a nice mix between campus and the local community. So we did a lot of great events here just a few weeks ago, actually. On campus in Savannah, we had some crafts, we had some great things set up around a brunch experience. And then we also had some opportunities to go out into Savannah. We had kind of a reception at a local alumni ran business. We had some trolley tours to kind of get between campus and downtown Savannah. So we had a lot of great things going on around that Spring Family Weekend event as well. So with that, of course, a great event to reconnect with your Armstrong campus student on their campus, or to bring your Statesboro or Liberty campus student down to Savannah for a fun weekend there. So really great opportunities, and we definitely encourage you to come visit both. because they are open to all supporters and, of course, all students as well. So encourage you to check those out and to join us for those fun weekends. We also have our Parent and Family Association. So that is our dues-paying association that you as a supporter can join. It's a relatively affordable, I believe it's $35 for a 1-year membership. And then that rate, if you choose to go ahead and purchase a bulk 4-year membership, you actually get a little bit of a discount off of each year with that. So some great options there. Parent and Family Association does some events similar to this that are open to just members. They do some great opportunities to network and connect with other supporters. They help sponsor a lot of our events during family weekends. So they do a lot of great things, and it's an awesome opportunity to really have some additional insight into the university and also a bit more of a voice in sharing maybe some things about your students' experience or what you would like to see or hear out of us as a university, and more specifically us as a new student and family programs office. One thing that's always really exciting out of our Parent and Family Association, PFA, is our PFA Scholarship. So we provide scholarships every year to students of current members. And this year we have a total of $28,000 that we're really excited to be awarding to students. This is open to students who are just starting at the university. So if you join the PFA leading up to the close of that scholarship, as long as you join before the scholarship deadline and as long as your student applies by that deadline, then they would be eligible for consideration for those scholarships. So definitely consider joining the PFA. We'll have opportunities to connect and learn more and to help you do so at Soar, but you can definitely join prior to Soar as well if you would like to, especially depending on what Soar session your student maybe registers for and how that corresponds with the specific PFA scholarship deadline for this year. We'll have more information about deadlines and when that scholarship will actually open here in the next few weeks. So that will be shared more publicly here soon. So definitely encourage you to consider joining that. I'll share how to find some more information about our office and our area in general on the Georgia Southern website. So you can definitely take some time to review our PFA page to learn more as you make a decision if that's something you're interested in. We will also have, through the Parent and Family Association, specifically through the Family Council, which is an elected group within that, they'll have a session here shortly with more information as to what the scholarship process looks like, what the requirements are for that application, things of that sort. So they'll overview everything and then be able to answer some questions. So that'll be just a few weeks away. That'll be on Wednesday, April 20th at 7 p.m. And we'll have additional information to share with registration and all of that in the coming weeks as well. So definitely something to consider joining. And then, of course, if you do join, we highly encourage your student to apply for one of those scholarships. And as mentioned, you can access our Parent and Families pages pretty easily through any Georgia Southern page. So anytime you're on the Georgia Southern University website, no matter what page you're clicked into, at the very top, you'll see a Parent and Families hyperlink. So if you just click on that, it'll take you to our Family Programs page. On that Family Programs page, you'll of course be able to meet our team. You'll be able to see family events just like this one tonight. So that's where you can register for any upcoming events that seem relevant to you. So it's a great opportunity to do that. The Family Programs listserv, it's a little early to mention this, but I will just give you some context so that way if you're still not seeing anything from us as we get further into the summer and the beginning of the fall semester, then you know how to join in if you need to. But our Family Programs listserv, we actually send out communications to every supporter on record, which would be any supporter listed in your student's application. We'll send emails periodically to all of those folks. We currently send it to about 23,000 supporters every single month, or sometimes a little bit more frequently, just depending on what needs to go out. If you don't receive those by the beginning of the fall semester, then it would be good to go in and join in that Family Programs listserv. It's just going to ask for your basic information so we can get you added in there and make sure you're receiving any future communications from then on. So not really relevant quite yet, but if you are not receiving those by the time your student starts in the fall, or summer if that's their entry term, then definitely feel free to go to our website and to click that family programs listserv link, and we can make sure we get you added in. If you were on this page and you were to scroll just a bit down, you would see a lot of information beneath with links to pretty much any resource you could think of, some related to living on campus, some related to general campus life. You would see some tied to kind of the financial side, so paying for college, financial literacy, some of those different elements. Just a lot of really helpful links, really too many to name. So definitely encourage you to, next time you're on the Georgia Southern University page, with a few minutes to spare, click on the Parents and Families link, and then just scroll through the page to see all the helpful resources we have there for you. And with that, do want to start closing out this session. So wanted to share our contact information. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. We have 2 different emails. It's really going to depend on what the nature of your question is. So if it's related to Soar orientation, you'll just email orientation@georgiasouthern.edu. If it's anything related to the Parent Family Association or just generally, being a family member of a student, you can always reach out to familyprograms@georgiasouthern.edu. If you accidentally mess up and email the wrong account, we operate both, so we'll make sure that it goes to the right place and that it's responded to appropriately in a timely manner. We also have our number listed, so it's 912-478-7627. Always happy to answer any questions. We have a great team of student workers who helps run the phone lines, and they can always escalate as needed if you need some additional support from our professional staff. And then finally, we do have a Facebook page, Georgia Southern Family Programs. Feel free to join that public page. That one is operated by our office, so we often post events that are coming up, so these monthly family Zooms. We post those on our Facebook page every single month. We have that information available there. We'll post about our family weekend events. We post just a lot of really great helpful information through that Facebook page. So definitely recommend liking that page just to get some additional information from us as we share it out in that space. But with that, I do also want to answer any questions that you might have related to this overarching idea of supporting your student in their transition as they join us here in Eagle Nation. So feel free again to submit questions in the Q&A. If you do have any related to this topic, we can definitely try to respond to as many as possible, either through text or through answering them on screen, just depending on the specific nature of questions. But please feel free to submit questions through that Q&A. If you don't have any questions, definitely want to thank you for joining us. You are more than free to head on out if you don't have any questions. So please feel free to head out if you don't have any questions at this time. Do you see one question? When is housing decided? Housing normally has some priority deadlines established. They should be available on their website, and they work around those deadlines that they have listed out and release those housing assignments kind of in due turn. So if your student applies by a specific priority deadline, then they normally have it spelled out as to when that student would then hear by in regard to their housing assignment. So that should be located on the Georgia Southern University housing website page. All right, can I attend the orientation virtually if my student is attending in person? Unfortunately, that's not an option. Our sessions are actually on different dates because we still have our full team working all of our virtual sessions. So we wouldn't have a virtual option on the same day as an in-person. So unfortunately, just logistically, it wouldn't really be possible to offer for you to join us in that way while your student's with us on campus. All right, if your child is a student athlete who decides their housing, I'm not for sure of that process. That would be a great question to ask university housing. Their information is posted on their website, or to ask your student's coach. They might be aware of what housing normally looks like for that specific team, but university housing is going to be your best contact to provide the most up-to-date information there. Is there a deadline as to when financial aid or scholarship information will be released? So financial aid, they normally process all of theirs kind of as they receive it. So they will be working towards providing those financial aid decisions as quickly as possible. I'm not for sure if they have a deadline that they or a specific turnaround time that they advertise. So if you have questions, if it's maybe been a while since your student submitted the FAFSA, and if they have submitted any additional documentation the university requested, make sure you give them just a few weeks at least, especially since we are a bit further out from the beginning of the next academic year. Feel free to call though. They would be happy to provide an update as to what their timeline is currently looking like. So we definitely recommend reaching out to Enrollment Services. That's who you would be looking to contact. Anyone who reaches out to Enrollment Services can generally get their questions answered there. And if not, then they would refer them appropriately to the bursar or financial aid or whoever else they might need to speak with. But our Enrollment Services team would generally field those questions about financial aid timelines. All right. It looks like there's a question about students requesting roommates. So that would be a great question for university housing. I believe they have some steps to follow on their website as to how to make that mutual match within the system, so that way they can work to honor that, because it is important that both your student and any potential roommates do that mutual match in order to make sure that housing is aware that it's not a one-sided request. So I would look on University Housing's website. They should have some steps there to follow, and if not, they can easily help walk you and your student through that process. All right, what should my student do to make sure that they are able to register for classes on time? So students actually are registered for their first semester of classes by their academic advisor. So your student would just need to make sure that once the pre-advisement course is available, that they complete that as early as possible, so that way their academic advisor can start working on their specific course schedule and then let them have that course schedule by the end of their Soar session. So definitely recommend, again, once that opens towards the end of the month, so they go ahead and complete that as long as they've already registered for a Soar session at that time. All right, we got a question about freshman live-on requirement. So freshmen are generally required to live on campus. There are some exemptions to that, of course. So I would recommend visiting the first year live-on requirement page through University Housing. So if you just Google Georgia Southern first year live-on requirement, it should be the first thing that pops up for you. That has a list of possible exemptions. So some of the more common ones include students who live within a certain mile radius of campus, because if they live within that certain mile radius, they can definitely commute instead of living on campus, as well as some life statuses. So sometimes marital status or age or things of that sort can be an exemption for a student if they would wish. All right, a question about, and this is a great question, so I'll expand it a little bit from what I'm seeing in the Q&A. So if a student has credit from an AP exam, dual enrollment, anything of that sort, and that of course they took while in high school, who do they contact to make sure that those are appropriately applied? So at this time, there's not necessarily a department that you would contact to make sure, oh, we have this specific one. So that's a great conversation to have with academic advising. So I always recommend that as long as they've submitted them to the university, we normally would process those, again, within that 2 to 3 week window. And then the academic advisor would be the one who reviews that and sees how it fits into your student program of study, their program map. So I would encourage your student to make a note of the credits that they're supposed to be bringing in with them in the pre-advisement course, and then to follow up with conversations with their academic advisor, especially if they're seeing that they maybe were registered for a class that they think they have credit for, just to have that conversation with the academic advisor, because sometimes titles can be misleading and something might come in as a specific title, but it might actually not be what they thought that it would be called here at the university. So it's not going to transfer in as necessarily the title of the AP test that they took. It's going to transfer as the equivalent here at the university. So definitely encourage them to say, I'm bringing in a credit for this AP exam, and then the academic advisor would be able to review that and make sure that they are scheduling your student appropriately, and then they can talk through any specific situations as well. When is the next information meeting? So these are just one-off webinars that we do. They're not necessarily a series that we do in regard to new students and information related to that. Soar is really the next step. So that's when we provide a lot of information, a lot of great presentations. A lot of campus partners are involved and help really provide some foundational knowledge for you and your student to make sure that we're setting them up for a successful transition, and as an extension, setting you up for a successful transition as well. So we don't have another formal meeting for those of incoming students, but feel free, of course, using the content information on our page to reach out if you do have any questions. We can definitely try to provide any answers and kind of help guide you along as needed if you just reach out to us through one of our emails or our phone number listed. All right, so not seeing any further questions at this time. If you do have any questions, please again feel free to add those in the Q&A, and we can definitely answer a few more. Still have a little bit of time. Again, ask that those be general questions, not specific. So don't provide your students information in this currently. That's more appropriate for an individual conversation with one of our staff members via email or over the phone. All right, another question came in. So I'm going to address this one and also give another scenario that we sometimes see. So if a student was accepted to the Statesboro campus and wants to change to the Armstrong campus, so that would just be submitting a campus change request form through our admissions office. So if you Google Georgia Southern University admissions forms, it should be the very first link that pops up. So I would recommend just going to that forms page on the admissions website and completing that change of campus form. So that's really important. Change of campus form, submit that if your student is wishing to change campuses from what they originally applied as. Another scenario that we see is students who are hoping to change their major. There's a change of major form on there as well. We often see students who, for some reason or another, need to change their entry term. So if your student was admitted for the fall and maybe life happens and they need to push that back and start in the spring, we also have a term update form on that admissions forms page as well. So change of campus, change of major, term update, all of those forms that you could think of are on that one page. So if your student wants to change their major, change their primary campus, anything of that sort, they'll need to visit our admissions forms page. Ooh, another good question coming in. So how do I register myself as a supporter to attend Soar if my student is already registered? So first, check with your student to see if they did register you. They might have just not told you. But if they truly haven't registered you yet, if you just log in, have your student log into their admitted status check page, click on the orientation tab, and then click back into their orientation registration, then they can go into that portal and they can note that they would like to register a guest there. For our in-person on-campus sessions, we allow up to 2 guests per person. And then for our virtual sessions, you're only allowed to technically register 1 because we have a cap on how many unique users we can have logging in from separate devices. So again, for our on-campus sessions, you're allowed to register 2 guests, and you can do that through just logging back into the orientation portal through that admission status check page. Your student should be able to do that on their own and then paying that fee for that guest registration. If you need any help, definitely feel free to reach out to us and we can help provide insight and some support there if needed. All right, looks like another question about housing assignment. Unfortunately, not for sure of that date that the assignments are going to be released. The university housing website should have some insight as to when to expect those housing assignments. So I check that website Georgia Southern University Housing, it should be on that page. If not, you can reach out to Housing, and they should be able to provide some insight as to when to expect those housing assignments, since they manage that process. All right, so it looks like an honors college question. Unfortunately, I'm not for sure of the honors college deadline. That should be posted on the honors college website, I would assume, or on the admissions website one. So those should be posted in one of those two locations, again, either on the admissions website with specific honors college information, or through the honors college website itself. There should be some insight as to when specifically those decisions will be coming out for students who applied to be in the honors college. All right, not seeing any additional questions yet, but we'll give folks another few seconds or so to finish maybe submitting a question that they maybe have on their mind and just have been figuring out how to word it, or been holding back to see if someone else would ask. Definitely still have a few more minutes that we can spend answering as many questions as possible. All right, looks like a question about submitting the FAFSA. So I'm not for sure it's a specific timeline for FAFSA, how long it takes to put in the system. The FAFSA itself is a relatively simple application to complete through the government, as long as you have the appropriate year's tax return information. So just having your tax information for that corresponding year, it should be a pretty quick process. As soon as you complete that and note Georgia Southern University as an institution that you would like to send the FAFSA information to, it should be pretty quick for it to actually be received by the university. Definitely within a short 2 to 3 week processing window, that they would be able to access that, and then they would process that in due turn. And then as soon as they have the information available, they would then send your student their financial aid award letter. And they might have some additional information as to what those timelines normally look like from submission to receiving that decision letter, or award letter rather. They might have some additional information for that on their website. And if not, enrollment services is great, and they would be happy to provide insight if you gave them a call or sent them an email. All right, going to give it a few more seconds to see if any further questions come in. If not, again, thank you so much for joining tonight. Definitely feel free to hop off, but we are going to hang back for just another minute or two to see if any further questions come in. All right, again, going to give it just a few more seconds, see if any further questions come in. Not seeing any at this time. Again, if you do not have any further questions, definitely feel free to go ahead and log off. Thank you for joining us tonight. But again, if you do have any questions, last second questions, we'll be on for another few seconds before we close out this meeting tonight. All right. Well, seeing none, I want to thank you all again one last time for joining us tonight. Really appreciated you taking some time out of your evening to be with us. Hope you learned something new. And if you do have any questions that come up or any more specific questions, again, definitely feel free to reach out. More than happy to answer any questions and to provide as much support as needed to you and your student during this transition. Hope you have a great night.